It's been a while since we've done this, hasn't it? You look like you've lost weight. I think I found it for you, though. I thought things were going one way, now they're going another way, and the game that I had planned for you guys today was not working for me. My PlayStation 2 decided to be a pain station 2, and it didn't let me play the game that was intended for today's episode, but I've got something else lined up for you. Now, while we wait on that to blow over, let me start today off by telling you guys of a story. I was flipping through some old DVDs of what I was going to show my kids, and came across Speed Racer, the movie, not the anime. And I thought to myself, oh, my kids are going to love this. And I was thinking about the part with all the crayon effects and Speed's driving the car, daydreaming in the middle of class, and we popped the movie in, and immediately there's a little bit of swearing. Okay, it could be worse than that. It's not the worst cursing I've ever heard. And then it full-fledged mob violence, uncensored, unadulterated. We're talking James Bond tied to a chair, except with more clothes and more blood, actually. So I had to stop the movie pretty quickly. One day we'll show it to him. Not today, though. Today we're going to be looking at Speed Racer, the video game for Wii.
The game starts off with footage of racing from the game over music, which, according to the manual, was made by an animation studio.
But this doesn't look animated, more like just in-game footage with music over it? What do I know? Maybe they did.
Alright. So far this presentation isn't impressing me, but you have 3 race classes just like your 50, 100, and 150 cc's in Mario Kart, and you gotta unlock them by placing in the top 3 of each cup. So nothing too crazy yet.
Keyword, yet.
We are left with a handful of characters to choose from. The rest we unlock along the way. Now, off to the races. This game allows you to make and break alliances with other drivers between races, and each driver already has at least one ally and one rival by default. For example, Speed Racer's ally is Trixie, and his rival is Jack Cannonball Taylor. Whoever places in first, or second if you're first, is automatically added to your list of rivals. Until they get beat out at the finish line, that is.
The game really delivers on all those wacky racetracks from the movies, all the loop-de-loops and swirls and just...
You'll be forced to keep the speed up, too, because if you don't and you get slowed down too much on the wrong part of the track, gravity will take you.
Somehow I didn't expect this game to respect gravity this much. The cars control pretty well and can jump around and spin around and hit each other, and the game calls this car Foo, but at the best interest of not puking through this whole thing, I'm gonna just call it Combat.
Through the use of jump jacks and the car's independently steering wheels, these cars, called T-180s, can do all sorts of strange maneuvers, but more importantly,
beat the living brake fluid out of each other.
Let's address the manual. Maybe it can help me better explain it. So you remember how Mario Kart and everything else on the Wii works, right? 2 is the gas, 1 is the brake, tilt the controller, but you get a boost meter that charges as you drive and do combat. The meter has to fill all the way for you to earn 1 boost, which you can use with the B button. Now alternatively, you can press A to use your boosts instead to heal your car. Now the manual states you can save up and use 3 boosts in rapid succession to enter the zone, but this is a typo. You can have up to 4 boosts, and it requires 4 to enter the zone. Unless there's another version of this game where that's changed. Is there another version of this game? For the combat, though, get out your pen and paper. You need to flick the controller up like Mario Kart Wii asked of you in order to jump. Hold down a direction on the D-pad, flicking up to front flip, back flip, or torpedo spin. That's what the game calls it. I'm not saying it. The next part is a little tricky, but it wants you to jolt the controller left and right in order to side dash in the respective directions. Now, sure, you can manage doing this safely with lots of practice, but that's just it. This is enough to make 2 players simply not worth trying it. It is way too easy to punch the person next to you by accident. You laugh, but you've probably done something equally dumb or worse. Seriously, unless you have plenty of room to sit diagonally across from each other so there's no way you could comfortably do two-player mode without keeping an ice pack or two on standby, fine. If you're seriously itching to know, it's the exact same gameplay, only without the Wachowski signature bullet time that happens every time you do car.
Oh, almost got me that time. Combat.
Oh yeah, hold up either up or down on the D-pad while shunting to make your car do a 360 or 180 spin, respectively. The direction you jolt determines which direction the car spins. It's also important to note the sliding feature. Finally, our prayers from Ridge Racer 64 have been answered with the advent of these special axles. Seriously, how would you even manage all that independent steering? Just let off the gas, turn hard, hit the gas again to slide. The car will regain control when you straighten out the car, which is much easier said than done.
Now I hear you. Rocker, that sounds great, but how does it control? Well...
This alone is the biggest struggle in the whole fucking game. You're flying down the track at 300-something miles per hour, and all of a sudden, a car ahead of you is at a complete stop because it got turned around. Now you're possibly fighting for about a mile to straighten out, depending on the traffic ahead of you or any obstacle on the track. This is slightly mitigated by the ability to strafe along the track with a D-pad to avoid said obstacles. If you even remember in the heat of the race that even works. It doesn't make up for the actual rotation of the car. I never feel like I have enough control of the car's rotation. In the movie, the cars rotate on command, very snappy, and they move with purpose. Rotating the cars in this game feels timid, like an elephant, making sure it isn't going to step on a mouse. Sometimes I feel like it isn't even registering my movements. You can also grind on the edge of a track, but like sliding, it often just slows you down. If anything, grinding on the edge of the track is the last-ditch thing keeping you from driving off the ledge. I feel your skepticism. This looks like a very catered and scripted experience. Almost seems on rails. I mean, yeah, the camera's on rails, but you can end up careening off the road if you mess up hard enough. Yeah, sometimes it ignores physics in the best interest of keeping the game going, since asking for everyone to have a PhD in physics was a bit high for the ESRB rating of everyone, so I think it's forgivable. When it's convenient to the game, the real physics return. Which feels right considering how fast you're going. The game doesn't completely ignore gravity. Driving uphill from a dead stop is still significantly slower than downhill, so use a boost to get back up to speed. It is seriously not worth trying to build up speed on normal acceleration alone, especially uphill. And you will be going uphill a lot. This game reminds me an awful lot of The Legend of Zelda: Skyward Sword. And what I mean by that is it's pretty fun at the cost of being a little awkward to control at first and being so hard to look at. Seriously, what's wrong? Is my Wii overheating? No. But this is the kind of shit we had to deal with after all those protests we had back in the day to remove the fog from our video games. Give it back! In this game's defense, it is keeping track of 20 cars, and the racetrack's geometry is so large that in the distance it has to be swapped out with a really rough, low poly and jagged model to conserve on processing power. Which, all jokes aside, is probably what this blur is for. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I love this game. It's a great blend of Hot Wheels and Speed Racer, but boy does it kick you in the ass later. The cars do move really fast, and sometimes the cars ahead of you are just so far ahead of you that it's actually faster to make your car respawn than it is to try and catch up using just your skills. On the other hand, this does make me feel like the game is being more honest with me in the sense that the game isn't rubber banding us together. I forgot to mention that you get points for attacking other cars. Not points that mean nothing either, but points towards your rank in the Grand Prix. If you get really good at the combat in this game, you can carry yourself to victory while never breaking the first 3 to cross the finish line. It's not a good idea to try, ignoring rank altogether, of course, but it does go a long way. I'll admit that sometimes I restarted a race because I wasn't happy with my placing. Don't look at me like that. But I forgot I kicked all kinds of ass and quit too quickly. Then I got too comfortable with not restarting after about 4 cups. It started to hit me in the scorecard pretty hard. Also, don't worry, science enthusiasts and the rest of the developed world, I switched to kilometers near the end. I even went and chose Jack Cannonball Taylor since his car, the GRX, is canonically see what I did there? The fastest car in the world. So we could see just how fast both the GRX and the Racer family's Mach 6 really are. The only rewards for beating the game are unlocking the characters, the mirror mode I mentioned earlier, some concept art, and developer-made cheat codes that make your tires big and other dumb shit like that. Why am I disappointed in this? Because the unlockable cars are just not that cool unless you're really into the designs from the movie. What are some better choices? I'm glad you asked. The Mach 5 and the Shooting Star, because these cars were much more faithful to the originals. I understand that it wouldn't be appropriate for this gameplay, but it's not like they aren't already taking great liberties with physics in the first place. Would it have been that hard to make another control scheme just removing the spin ability? Besides, we know from the movie that it isn't impossible for the Mach 5 to drive through Thunderhead Raceway. He does it in the movie in the middle of the night. But fine. I'll concede to the it had to be a T180 rule. But then explain to me why the Mach 4 wasn't unlockable. That was the easiest choice, hands down. Maybe they could have made at least a handful of different paint jobs so the cars could look more closely to their anime and manga counterparts. So the game is fun, but it somehow doesn't feel rewarding enough. You already have all the characters most people care to play as, and with this universe so far removed from the source material, it makes it hard to want to use Snake Oiler's car and think, why do we live like this? We couldn't even retain the original color scheme? They took some serious liberties with the car designs, and if that's a deal breaker for you, just stick to the Mach 6. It's as close as it gets. Unless you see a car you really like, since we're all here for the white and red car, maybe a black and yellow car. But the visual fidelity of these cars is... I've completed this game before when I was younger, but I had no interest in completing the game on this playthrough, especially after the 4th consecutive loss at this damn cup. Speaking of tracks, I distinctly remember some purple and black racetrack in the movie that didn't appear in this game. I wonder what that's all about. Out of curiosity, I looked up Sid, I don't know, and this game online and discovered that what? This came out on PlayStation 2? And it has an extra raceway?
Alright, here's why I'm so mad about that. I grew up with 2 Godzilla games, and there was a 3rd one in the trilogy that only came out for Wii, and I didn't really want it because I don't want to use the motion controls to fight the monsters. I'd rather use the PS2 buttons like the other 2 games before it. But no, the PS2 version is out there, but it doesn't have any of the unlockable characters that are new, or any of the new stages, or any of that. So what's the point of playing the new game if it's just the 2nd game in a trilogy, just with everything unlocked already? Nintendo, you said you won't... We haven't had a new F-Zero since F-Zero GX in the early 2000s on the GameCube. And it's about time we got another one. They keep saying they don't want to do anything to the F-Zero series unless they can bring something new to the table. And it's not a perfect game, but if you're looking for something new, you have that. More fleshed out combat. Yeah, it's not perfect. It needs a little tweaks and some balances to make it work, and respawning doesn't work in F-Zero games. I understand that, and I'm willing to sacrifice that. Have no respawning, balance out how this works, change, make some adjustments. I think you've got a pretty good starting point for a new F-Zero. Also, I did look back into the manual, and it does call it a barrel roll. Son of a... Why aren't I recording this on my Wii U?
I can't believe I actually got all this way before remembering that I could have just used the Wii U. This is literally the last thing that I had to record, was just my little voice bit over this. I completely forgot I had spent several days recording the footage for this. And I had finished, I had put everything on the computer when suddenly I looked over and saw the Wii U. I know this video took a lot longer to come out than the other ones. There was nothing about this video in particular that made it take any longer than I just didn't have the energy to do it. But the next videos will come out at a much faster rate, hopefully anyway. So I'll see you in the next one. Bye!